So prior to the tour, I did a video trying to work out the schedule and which of the games would be the dry run for the test team. I'd come up with the Brumbies, and I think that is the case largely, although definitely some interesting calls that we're going to get into here, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I've kind of put up the selection in context to the whole squad because it's very important now trying to work out who's going to get in the test team. I think a lot of the players here that are starting might not play again until that first test, so that gives them a week and a half of rest and preparation, which is, really good, actually about right. Dan Sheehan was always going to start. Cowan-Dickie started the last game, so I guess it makes sense that Kelleher is on the bench. It's just who's going to be the backup to Sheehan. I think it's 50-50 at the moment. If Kelleher goes well here, maybe they just go for the Irish pairing. Now, good for P.S. Schoeman. He had a good last game, but I still think that Genge and Porter are ahead of him. That bit more mobile with the type of game that the Lions are playing, I think that makes sense, and I think Genge was ahead of the pecking order with some big performances. I really like this 1-2 at Loosehead, Genge, then Porter. I think that's going to be the test pairing. Tighthead, though, still up in the air. Performance-wise on the pitch, Beelum, maybe Stewart, but Furlong has been given a game here to maybe play himself into some form because, they say class is permanent, but I think he needs to show some form as well. So a big game for Furlong. If he has one, maybe he is the test starter with his experience, but I think Stewart is probably next in line. So Furlong, Stewart, if that goes well, maybe it sticks. Now here's the Itoje-McCarthy pairing that we'd lined up as the test pairing with the performances and Itoje being the captain as well. It could go really, really well. You've got the big guy McCarthy with those big carries because that's not Itoje's game. We saw what Itoje's game was in his last outing where he's all over the place disrupting. That's what we want to see, high energy. And we finally get to see Ollie Chesham at blindside because who the blindside was going to be is up in the air. It looked like Tom Curry might be lined up as it, but hasn't been going very well, and he's been given another chance at 7. So first chance to see Chesham. If he goes well, I think it is kind of the only choice at 6 at the moment based on performance. 7, I thought we would see Jack Morgan again, but no, Jack Morgan isn't in the squad. It kind of hints to me that maybe he took a little knock in the last game potentially because we see Pollock and Van der Fleer on the bench, and with Chesham covering second row you can have 2 back row on the bench, but no Morgan at all is a bit of a surprise. Tom Curry being given that shout to have another go at 7, so a lot of trust being shown in some players here. Tom Curry, one of those. If Conan goes really well, you think he's lined up for the 8 slot, although Pollock's obviously had a really good tour, and maybe if Pollock comes on with a bit of energy, could he push for a start? I think he's probably pushing for a bench spot, maybe along with Van der Fleer. So a really good fight going on in the back row. Fairly late in the day to see Chesham at 6. I'd been calling for it for a bit earlier, but let's see how that one goes because there's definitely a balance issue to sort out there. A second start for Gibson Park, and he needs those reps. If he goes really well, then I think he's going to be the test starter. Mitchell getting a lot of games. Again, a bit surprised not to see White there on the bench getting some more minutes. Maybe he took a knock. Maybe they're trying to just test out the pairing for the test match of Gibson Park and Mitchell, and then we'll see a bit of a rest for those guys and White getting a start at the weekend. Fly half wise, well, we weren't going to see Owen Farrell because of jet lag, but then there's something come up about him having a return to play protocols from concussion as well, so we might not even see him at the weekend. So we'll probably first see Owen Farrell in the Tuesday between the first 2 tests. Marcus Smith then backs up again. Finn Smith had a bit of a shaky game, I guess, in the last one. Marcus Smith being used quite a lot as a backup. But Russell at 10, if he has another Imperious game, well, I think he's nailed on anyway, but it really gives us confidence. If Gibson Park and Russell can really boss this game, then that is exciting. The battle of the centres seems to be between the Scottish pairing and the Irish pairing. Aki and Ringrose being given, the role of rolling with this kind of pseudo-test team. So if they go well, maybe they'll start. I think it's either Tuipulotu and Jones or Aki and Ringrose. At the moment, I kind of edge it to the Scottish pairing, but who knows? If Aki and Ringrose have a really good game, it could be them. But I think it is one or the other. And then we see the most likely test back 3, Freeman, Lowe and King on at 15. Now Keenan, it might just run out of time for him a little bit because he was pretty ill, probably shouldn't have played this game by the sounds of it, or the last game I should say. Could they have rolled him out again? Well, he probably just needs some rest, to be honest, and we'll see him at the weekend, but it could be a little late for him. If Kinghorn goes well, then I think he's going to play 15. Freeman is probably covering centres as well in this match. I wonder if that's something they'll do for the test. And they're giving Hansen another role to try and give us some time to maybe break into this test team, or 23 if they use someone like Freeman in the centres. Van der Merwe kind of pushed aside a bit, which I think is another indication he is not going to be in this test 23. So that's my reaction on the team to face the Brumbies. The Brumbies are going to be strong. They've had some Wallabies released to them, the likes of Hooper released. It should be a good game, but we're going to want the Lions to roll well in this game, then have a good rest and attack that first test. Let me know what you think of this team. Do like, do subscribe, please, and I'll catch you next time.